Do you remember Fast and Loud, the Dallas-based show that turned rusty junk into roaring masterpieces at Richard Rawlings' Gas Monkey Garage? Ever wondered what happened to the cast of Fast and Loud? Where they are and why some never left? Join us as we reveal the tragedy that each one had to bear. Taylor Sims, a Lamborghini Gallardo screaming through the Texas night that was the last sound of Taylor Sims' life. Taylor wasn't just another face in the Dallas car scene. He was family to Gas Monkey Garage, the brilliant mind behind Dallas Performance LLC, the man who could make any engine sing. Richard Rawlings didn't just respect Taylor's work, he respected the man. They'd spent countless hours together, swapping stories about builds and dreams, pushing the boundaries of what horsepower could achieve. Taylor understood what it meant to live fast, to chase that perfect moment when metal and speed became poetry. On July 7, 2019, around 10:30 at night, Taylor was driving south on Plano Road near Miller Road. He was doing what he loved, testing the limits. But the Gallardo had other plans. Taylor lost control on that dark stretch of Dallas asphalt. The car spun out violently and crashed. Emergency responders arrived within minutes, but it was already too late. Taylor was pronounced dead at the scene. He was only 36 years old, leaving behind a wife and 3 young children who would never hear his laugh again. The Gas Monkey family was devastated. Richard posted a heartfelt tribute, calling Taylor one of the best he'd ever seen, a true loss for everyone. The Dallas automotive community mourned together, sharing memories of a man whose kindness matched his skill. Taylor had poured his heart into every build, treated every customer like family, and inspired everyone who walked through his shop doors. Today, Dallas Performance continues without its founder, but his legacy lives on in every engine they touch. His family carries forward, finding strength in the memory of a man who lived every moment at full throttle, Jessie Combs. She was known as the fastest woman on 4 wheels, and she died proving it. Jessie Combs never worked a day at Gas Monkey Garage, but Richard Rawlings considered her family anyway. She had that same fire, that same refusal to accept limits. Jessie was a fabricator, a welder, a television personality who'd graced shows like Mythbusters and Overhaulin'. Richard had even tried to hire her once, but Jessie was chasing something bigger than any garage could contain. She was chasing immortality in the form of a land speed record. On August 27, 2019, in Oregon's Alvord Desert, Jessie climbed into the North American Eagle Supersonic Speed Challenger one final time. It was a jet-powered beast, 56 feet of raw power designed to break the sound barrier on land. She'd held the women's land speed record since 2013, clocking 398 miles per hour. But records are meant to be broken, and Jessie wanted to be the one to break her own. The run started perfectly. She accelerated smoothly, the jet engine roaring like thunder across the dried lake bed. 550 miles per hour. Then, in an instant, everything went wrong. The front wheel struck something on the desert floor, maybe a rock, maybe just a cruel twist of fate. The wheel assembly collapsed. At that speed, there's no recovery. The vehicle disintegrated. Fire consumed what remained. Jessie died instantly from blunt force trauma to the head, just 39 years old. Richard's tribute was raw and heartfelt. He wrote about her incredible talent, her unstoppable drive, her refusal to settle. She'd been living her dream, he said. And that made the loss somehow both more tragic and more beautiful. The automotive world stopped to mourn a pioneer, a trailblazer who'd shown young girls everywhere that speed knows no gender. Jessie's family would later confirm she'd posthumously achieved her goal, 522 miles per hour, a new women's land speed record. She died doing what she loved, but she died nonetheless. And the hole she left can never be filled. Ken Block. Ken Block made cars dance like no one else could, but on January 2, 2023, gravity won. Ken wasn't a Gas Monkey cast member, but he was part of that same brotherhood that Richard Rawlings belonged to, the brotherhood of people who understood that life without adrenaline isn't really living. Ken had revolutionized automotive entertainment with his Gymkhana videos, turning drifting and stunts into viral art. He co-founded DC Shoes and Hoonigan Industries, becoming a legend in multiple worlds at once. That winter afternoon near Park City, Utah, Ken was snowmobiling in the Mill Hollow area with friends. He'd spent the morning posting photos on Instagram, enjoying the powder, living his best life. Then he attempted to ride up a steep slope. The snowmobile upended violently, flipping backward and landing on top of him. His friends found him within minutes, but the injuries were catastrophic. He was pronounced dead at the scene, 55 years old. survived by his wife Lucy and their 3 children. Richard and the Gas Monkey crew shared their grief publicly. Ken had been a friend, an inspiration, someone who'd proven you could be successful and still stay true to your passion. The automotive world lost a visionary that day, and the Gas Monkey family lost another reminder that tomorrow is never guaranteed. Christie Brimberry. Cancer doesn't care if you're the toughest person in the room. Christie Brimberry was the heartbeat of Gas Monkey Garage. While Richard Rawlings chased down cars and Aaron Kaufman tore them apart, Christie kept the whole operation running. She managed the office, handled the books, scheduled the builds, and kept the mechanics in line, a job she jokingly called being a zookeeper. Fans loved her straight-shooting attitude, her visible tattoos, and her refusal to take nonsense from anyone. She'd been there since day one, helping Richard build the garage into an empire. In August 2016, Christie felt something wrong in her throat. A knot, a pressure, an annoyance she initially dismissed. She had Hashimoto's disease, an autoimmune thyroid disorder, so nodules weren't unusual. But this felt different. This felt wrong. When she finally went to the doctor, they found a nodule with high calcification. The biopsy results came back in October, thyroid cancer, and it had already spread to her lymph nodes. The cancer was aggressive and growing fast. The surgery that followed was supposed to be simple: remove the thyroid and 1 lymph node, a 1-day procedure. But when Christie woke up, the doctor had devastating news. The cancer had spread more than anyone realized. He'd removed her thyroid, a cluster of lymph nodes, and part of her trachea. Worse, he'd accidentally severed the nerve to her voice box during the operation. Christie, who'd spent years managing one of the loudest garages in Texas, suddenly couldn't speak at all. Not a whisper, not a sound. She would be voiceless for months, maybe up to 6 months. She had a tube in her throat to help her breathe. The healing process would be brutal, but Christie posted updates on social media with remarkable strength, urging her fans to get checked, to never ignore warning signs, to fight like she was fighting. She underwent radioactive iodine treatment around Christmas 2016, spending 5 days in isolation, unable to see her husband or children during the holidays. The treatment worked, but the side effects were merciless. Christie's body shut down without thyroid hormones. She experienced crushing fatigue, sky-high anxiety, uncontrollable emotions, and tears that wouldn't stop. The low iodine diet made everything worse. But through it all, Christie refused to surrender. She documented her journey honestly, showing both the victories and the defeats. December 2017 brought the news everyone had prayed for: cancer-free. The 1-year bone scan came back negative. Christie had won. But the victory came with permanent scars. Her vocal cords remained partially paralyzed. Her airway was compromised, making breathing difficult. Her voice, when it returned, wasn't quite the same. She'd left Fast and Loud in 2017 to focus on recovery, and while the show continued, it wasn't the same without her. Today, Christie is thriving. She's still cancer-free, spending time with her family and managing her beauty salon business in Dallas. She opened a new location in 2022 and remains active on social media, where her 1.2 million Facebook followers and 341,000 Instagram followers continue to support her. She trains hard at the gym, models occasionally, and enjoys every moment with her husband Darren and their 6 children. The Gas Monkey family never forgot what Christie meant to them, celebrating her victory like the triumph it was. Sometimes the enemy isn't visible until it's already inside you. Mike Coy was Gas Monkey's master painter and body specialist, the man with an artist's eye and a perfectionist's obsession. He'd been working on cars since high school, building SEMA-worthy rides before most people knew what SEMA was. His attention to detail was legendary, every coat of paint perfect, every line crisp, every finish mirror smooth. Mike didn't just paint cars, he gave them souls. In 2013, Mike noticed something wrong in his throat. An HPV-related tumor at the base of his tongue, aggressive and growing. If he'd waited 2 more months to seek treatment, the tumor would have grown across his windpipe and killed him. That's how close Mike came to never seeing another sunrise. The diagnosis hit him like a freight train: throat cancer, the kind that changes everything. The treatment was brutal: chemotherapy that left him weak and nauseous, radiation that scorched his throat and stole his ability to taste food, surgeries that left scars both visible and invisible. Mike, who'd spent his life creating beauty, suddenly faced a future where just breathing was a victory. But he fought. He fought with everything he had, supported by his girlfriend Constanza and his daughter Madison. 5 years later, Mike became a survivor. He wrote a book called I Chose, Live, documenting his journey and encouraging other men to get screened to fight if cancer came for them. He became an advocate for early detection, speaking at events, sharing his story, refusing to let anyone else go through what he'd endured alone. In 2019, Mike discovered he had skin cancer on his left ear, trucker's ear, from years of sun exposure. He had it removed immediately, having learned his lesson about waiting. Mike left Gas Monkey Garage on good terms, no drama or bitterness. He went on to star in the Netflix series Tex-Mex Motors, filmed in El Paso, continuing to showcase his incredible talent with paint and metal. He remains active on Instagram with over 225,000 followers, documenting his work and his life. Mike also plays in the Austin Metro Baseball League, participating in the MSBL World Series and Fall Classic since 1990, proving that cancer couldn't steal his love for the game. His story is one of resilience, of a man who stared down death twice and won both times. Mike continues to inspire, continues to create, and continues to remind everyone that life is precious. Aaron Kaufman. Sometimes the hardest thing to walk away from is the thing that made you famous. Aaron Kaufman wasn't just a mechanic. He was the soul of Fast and Loud, the bearded wizard who could resurrect any dead car, the guy fans tuned in to watch work his magic. He and Richard Rawlings had built Gas Monkey Garage together, starting in the early 2000s, when it was just two guys with more dreams than money. They'd traveled the country together, racing, building, promoting the brand. Aaron was the mechanic, Richard was the showman. It worked beautifully for over a decade. But by 2016, cracks were showing. Aaron wanted to build big, ambitious projects, cars that took time, cars that pushed boundaries. The Pantera build had shown him what he really wanted, the freedom to create without compromise. But television demanded something different. TV needed quick builds, flashy cars, tight deadlines that turned craftsmanship into a race against time. The last 5 years, Aaron would later say, felt like 20. There were also personal issues, differences of opinion about how to treat people, how to run a business, what relationships were worth. Aaron saw the world differently than Richard did. He valued depth over speed, quality over quantity, human connection over profit margins. The two men, once so close, began spending less time together. The friendship that had powered Gas Monkey for so long was quietly dissolving. In December 2016, Aaron told Richard he was taking an extended vacation. By March 2017, he made it permanent. To quote Stevie Nicks, he told Richard on camera, "I think I have to go my own way." Richard was blindsided. The announcement came out of left field, he wrote in a blog post, and it would be a painstaking process moving forward without Aaron's talents. But Richard insisted Gas Monkey was a team, not one person, and they would continue cranking out killer rides. Aaron opened ArcLight Fabrication in Dallas, specializing in one thing: 1957 to 1979 Ford F-100 trucks. No more tight deadlines, no more building cars he didn't believe in. Just pure craftsmanship, the way Aaron had always wanted to work. He got his own Discovery show, Shifting Gears with Aaron Kaufman, though it lasted only one season. He also starred in Aaron Needs a Job, where he tried jobs he wasn't trained for, but the show became predictable and faded. Aaron remains active in racing, competing at Pikes Peak in 2022 behind the wheel of a 1949 Ford F1 nicknamed Old Smoky. He raced in stadium super trucks and continues to push himself in new directions. His relationship with Richard? Complicated. In a 2018 interview, Aaron said they didn't have an unfriendly rapport, they just didn't have much of one at all anymore. They saw the world too differently, valued different things. Today, Aaron is doing what he loves on his own terms, building the cars he wants to build, living the life he fought to create. Gas Monkey continued for 3 more seasons without him, but it was never quite the same. Sometimes growth means letting go. Richard Rawlings. You can build an empire and still watch your personal life crumble. Richard Rawlings is in the Gas Monkey Garage. He's the larger-than-life personality, the deal maker, the showman who turned a small Dallas shop into an international brand. He's opened restaurants, music venues, licensed energy drinks, and built a net worth estimated at $18 million. But success in business doesn't guarantee success in love, and Richard learned that lesson the hard way. His first marriage to Karen K. Grames lasted barely a year, from 1993 to 1994. Young love that fizzled fast, leaving no children and few details. Then came Suzanne Marie Mergely. They married in Las Vegas in 1999, right as Richard was launching his printing company. Suzanne was his lucky charm. They started Gas Monkey Garage together in 2002, landed the Discovery deal, and built the empire side by side. For 10 years, they were partners in everything. But the pressure of fame, the constant travel, the relentless filming schedule, it all took its toll. Richard was never home. The garage demanded everything. In 2009, after a decade of marriage, Suzanne filed for divorce. They remained friends though, staying in contact partly because Suzanne managed the Gas Monkey Bar and Grill. Their friendship slowly rekindled into romance. In 2015, they tried again, remarrying in Cabo, Mexico. This time would be different, they promised. This time, they'd make it work. But old patterns are hard to break. Richard's commitments only grew heavier. Fast and Loud was at its peak. Garage Rehab launched in 2017. The restaurants, the venues, the licensing deals, Richard was everywhere except home. By March 2019, TMZ broke the news before Richard could. He and Suzanne were divorcing again, this time for good. Richard confirmed it on social media, apologizing to fans for not getting ahead of the story. "We had a Helluva ride for 20+ years," he wrote. The divorce settlement was expensive. Suzanne got her Mercedes SL 450, everything in her bank accounts, and a lump sum of $300,000. They remained friends, Richard insisted, but the marriage was over forever. Richard didn't stay single long. By August 2019, he'd gotten engaged to Katerina Panos Deason, awkwardly proposing while she was still technically married to her billionaire ex-husband Darwin Deason. The relationship raised eyebrows, with some calling Katerina a gold digger, though Richard's $18 million paled compared to Darwin's billions. The logic didn't quite add up, but Richard's personal troubles were just beginning. The Gas Monkey Bar and Grill faced a $6 million defamation lawsuit from former manager Daniel Flaherty, who claimed Richard had been disruptive since opening day and even sold counterfeit alcohol. The lawsuit dragged on, adding stress and legal bills. Richard Rawlings' first garage restaurant in Harker Heights closed permanently in March 2019 after just 3 years. Then came 2020 and the pandemic. During that chaotic year, Richard made a decision. He was done with Discovery. His contract was suffocating, he explained on the Joe Rogan Experience. Discovery controlled all his social media accounts. He couldn't post a personal photo without their approval. There was even a potential $25,000 fine if he said anything Discovery disagreed with. He wanted creative freedom, wanted to control his own life again. So Richard walked away from Fast and Loud at its peak, ending 16 seasons and the show that made him famous. The decision shocked fans, but Richard had no regrets. Gas Monkey Garage is still operational, still churning out incredible builds documented on their YouTube channel and social media. Richard launched Wheels and Deals in 2021, showcasing the garage's latest acquisitions without network restrictions. Richard remains the face of Gas Monkey, divorced 3 times but somehow still standing. He's proven you can survive heartbreak, lawsuits, business failures, and still keep building. His personal life may be messy, but his passion for cars has never wavered. K.C. Matthew. Not every departure is dramatic. Sometimes you just need to go home. K.C. Matthew was Gas Monkey's other master painter, working alongside Mike Coy to create the stunning finishes that made every build pop on camera. K.C.'s magic lay in painting and fabrication, his ability to take raw metal and transform it into art. He was a key player in Fast and Loud's success, featured prominently until 2015. That year, K.C. made a quiet announcement. He was leaving the show to spend more time with his family. The pace was unsustainable, the deadlines unforgiving. K.C. wanted to be home in Burleson, Texas, wanted to work at his own shop next to his house, wanted to tuck his kids in at night instead of racing against another impossible deadline. He opened K.C. Paint Shop, specializing in high-end restorations, custom hot rod builds, and performance upgrades. His reputation for excellence followed him, and his business thrived. K.C. found what he'd been searching for: control over his own time, the ability to say yes to family first, and work that still fed his soul. No cameras, no drama, just paint and peace. Sue Martin. Sometimes people just disappear, and nobody explains why. Sue Martin was known as the Upholstery Queen, and for good reason. She ran ASM Auto Upholstery, starting back in 1990 when she and a friend reupholstered her husband's 1,968 Gran Torino in her garage. Sue wasn't a Gas Monkey employee. She ran her own successful business. But she was Richard's go-to person for interiors on all the big builds, transforming torn seats and worn dashboards into showroom-perfect masterpieces. Sue and her crew were brilliant at what they did, though Gas Monkey's short deadlines often challenged them. Fans loved Sue's wit, her no-nonsense attitude, her ability to create beauty under pressure. She was a staple in Fast and Loud's earlier seasons. Her work featured prominently in episode after episode. Then, somewhere around 2015 or 2016, Sue simply vanished from the show. No announcement, no explanation from Richard or Sue herself. Fans noticed her absence and wondered what happened. Has there been a falling out? A business dispute? A personal issue? Nobody said a word. The good news is that Sue is doing well. ASM Auto Upholstery is thriving, still located in Texas, still creating stunning interiors for cars across the country. Sue continues doing what she loves and what she's good at, just without the cameras. The upholstery queen may have left television, but she never stopped being royalty in her craft. Charles Cimino. Gas Monkey mechanic Charles Cimino specialized in wiring and light fabrication. He was a Dallas native who'd been working on cars since 6th grade, bringing years of experience and technical expertise to every build. Charles was part of the Fast and Loud crew through multiple seasons, his skills essential to completing the complex electrical systems that modern hot rods require. But like so many others, Charles eventually decided Gas Monkey wasn't his forever home. In a recent interaction with a fan, Charles confirmed that he works independently now. He no longer has any affiliation with Gas Monkey Garage, having moved on to pursue his own path. No drama, no public feuds, just a quiet exit from a man who wanted something different. If these stories touched your heart, honor their journeys by hitting that subscribe button and sharing this documentary with fellow car enthusiasts who remember when Gas Monkey ruled the airwaves. Drop a comment below sharing your favorite Fast and Loud memory or which cast member inspired you most. Let's keep their legacy alive together.